If you turned up at someone's door and said, you want to buy a ton of sandstone, they go, what for? Like, what are you talking about? Whereas if you say, look, this is what it could look like in your garden, these are the benefits, it's obviously far more exciting and reasonable for a customer to get on board with.
What's the methodology, I guess, when it comes to testing new things and kind of like trying to be a bit innovative?
I think the thing really to get started is just try it, just fail, but fail in a controlled way. If you're not keeping that sort of stuff going, like positive reviews actively on social media, it's going to set off alarm bells in the customer's head, like just subconsciously, because they'll go, if my delivery's late, who do I ring?
Vinny, welcome to the pod.
Thanks for having me.
Really excited really excited to have you here today. I think it's gonna be a really interesting podcast, diving into a bit about your journey of Nustone over the last few years. I think you joined in 2019,
yes.
And I think it was around that time as well where Nustone have kind of taken things to the next level and have become now a multi-million-pound a year paving and landscaping within the home renovation space business.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited to dive into it. I think it'll be really interesting for businesses and brands within this space to look at someone that's leading, I guess, the race in the UK within this space, is an innovative leader when it comes to looking at digital transformation and marketing within this space. And so, it'll be really interesting. I guess we can kick things off. If you can just take me through a little bit about your background in marketing and then also your journey of Nustone so far as well, please.
All right, yeah. I mean, how I started in marketing is kind of a weird one. It kind of happened accidentally. So I was playing in a band, like a thrash metal band, believe it or not.
No way.
And I was the one who was always probably not playing guitar and learning the songs as much as I should have been, and was kind of more focused on updating the Facebook, writing a new bio for the band, trying to find, new things on social media that kind of make us stand out a little bit. I didn't really realize at the time that was marketing.
Yeah.
I was just the one who was always in trouble for not playing the songs right, or like for not practicing enough. But yeah, I think now looking back, I was starting kind of a marketing journey really.
Wow.
And that kind of progressed into when I was doing the merch for the band. Eventually I kind of went, I don't really need a band to be able to sell merch. I can just kind of start a brand. So kind of started my own little clothing brand, which I kind of ran alongside the band. So, I was obviously getting the band to wear the t-shirts on stage and promoting it through Facebook as like a collaborative sort of thing. So I started my own brand and did that. I think it was 2011 that was. So it was early days in terms of things like Instagram and stuff like that, because that was all brand new.
Yeah, of course.
But that was back in the good old days when you could post something on Facebook or Instagram and all your followers saw it. But now obviously the reach is so minimal.
Yeah, for sure.
And I kind of stopped doing the brand once it became kind of pay to play on Facebook and social media ads. The cost per sale just skyrocketed, and it was just like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's good old days.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So that was really how I got started. Just kind of taking the initiative to just try something on my own. Just dived into it head first and wanted to see where it came out, And then over the years, because it became pay to play with Facebook and things like that, I just had to kind of go, I can't do this anymore. I'm going to have to get a job. I'm going to get into the real world now.
So you're doing that quite for a while, a little bit, in terms of like during that period of time.
Yeah.
Did you go to university or anything, kind of study, and then was this part of that kind of time, or was this?
No. So I skipped uni. I didn't bother going to uni. Straight out of college, I did. I was working with bands. So I was going on tour with bands and just helping them.
Nice.
Bit of their merch, bit of their kind of backline set up on stage and stuff like that, which at the time was sort of what I wanted to get into. But you kind of realise that you can't actually really earn unless you're out with a band.
Yeah, of course.
And I feel like that was probably the right decision for me, because I think as much as it would have been cool, I kind of knew that I didn't have the passion for music.
Yeah, for sure.
That I really needed.
I don't think you're the only one though when it comes to kind of the music industry sometimes, and kind of like trying to delve into that and some of the hurdles and struggles that a lot of people face when it comes to actually trying to make money from it in terms of small businesses to start with.
Yeah.
But then from that kind of point, then how did we kind of get to the point of, I guess, being intrigued in kind of Nustone and what they were working on at the time, I think during kind of like 2018, 2019. Yeah,
so it kind of became a thing where I was stuck in retail at the time because I stopped doing the clothing, and then I was just like, I don't really want to be kind of on the sinking ship of high street retail.
So tell me about that. What was the actual role that you were working with?
I was a visual merchandiser for H&M.
Oh, okay, cool.
So dressing mannequins, making sure that everything looks stylish and nice, window displays and stuff like that, which was really fun, like genuinely really enjoyed it. But after 4 or 5 years, you kind of think like, I don't really know what the next step is here.
Yeah.
And I don't really want to be stuck in high street retail. So I went and started another brand just purely for the sake of just catching up what I'd missed out on since I stopped the previous brand. And that was just another kind of small clothing company that I did online. But yeah, it was
Okay,
great,
so you've
great
been
fun.
active,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're busy.
Yeah. So I started it for the sake of getting some more marketing knowledge. When I saw the Nustone role come up, I was like, I think that is me.
Yeah,
I think that just
have
is
you
the next
been
step.
interested just generally, like from my point of view, like my dad has been in like the trade, he's like a property developer and he's worked in this space for a while. He's always been quite handy with his hands when it comes to kind of renovating interiors and even like landscaping stuff. And so growing up has been something that naturally I've kind of been around a little bit, kind of giving him a helping hand here and there as well. But is that something kind of like that you kind of saw in terms of, I guess like your life experience so far? And then you were like, oh, Nustone seems like a company that actually could be really interesting to jump into? Or was it a little bit more of like a challenging kind of, it was a bit more like a new challenge, I guess, right? Something to explore and kind of test yourself.
Yeah, more of a challenge for me. I kind of felt like it was time to like jump right into something.
Nice.
I remember reading the job description and it said like, if you don't have a marketing degree, don't apply or something like that.
Nice.
Words to that effect. And I kind of thought, well, I don't have a degree, but I'm just going to see what happens.
Nice.
And the previous director was, I think he more appreciated somebody who's a bit of a self-starter with a bit of drive about them than somebody who just does a kind of a load of book learning.
Yeah.
And
I think that's turned out, like, obviously we've done some work together as well, some influencer marketing work, and I definitely can see just through obviously our relationship and the work that we've done together, but that kind of like looking at what's going on at the moment in the world and trying to think of more forward thinking strategies and processes. From my kind of reading, I think the founder of Nustone, obviously your colleague or manager, however you want to put it, the director of the company, just reading up a bit about him and obviously the way that he took over the business, I think in 2020, and kind of the massive growth that I can see on Company's House through, just through speaking to yourself and doing some research about the company. Yeah, like it'd be really interesting to know kind of from what you've, your journey with that, obviously seeing that happen and yeah, also just, I guess, more specifically, if you can talk a little bit about the sales kind of channels, because I know retail and wholesale is a big part of it, but also direct to consumer is something that has taken, and kind of e-commerce has taken a big part and a big role in the business over the last few years. Yeah,
so when Ankit took over in, I think it was 2020, which was obviously scary times because the pandemic was just, obviously nobody could have predicted it. And it was just absolutely nuts. Like the demand increase was just insane because everyone was stuck at home with nothing to do, just going, okay, I guess I'll do the garden. Because it was like the nicest summer we'd ever had.
So nice.
Everyone's just stuck inside trying to get out in the garden.
Yeah.
So that was kind of really exciting, but also scary at the time with the company changing hands at that point. But Ankit's a great guy. He's put so much into the company, so much hard work, and he's recently won or been listed as one of the most ambitious business leaders for the last for 2024.
Yeah, that's insane. That's amazing.
I mean, ambition is definitely the word.
100%. No, I was doing a bit reading up as well about him recently, and just I think. Yeah, I read some stuff in I think it was the Asian Voice, potentially a couple of the publications he's in, and just his drive and ambition to make this successful. Yeah, and generally just he's got a very entrepreneurial mindset about him, which is I think really important. But I think that's what makes it really interesting because his Nustone is in the kind of paving, landscaping, home renovation space, and in a way it's quite a traditional kind of sector, I guess, right? And a lot of the work that I'm sure we're going to be talking about shortly as well is very kind of forward facing and trying to use social media and trying to update a lot of the ways that you communicate to potential buyers and customers. But before we get onto that, it'd be really interesting to, I guess, hear a little bit about kind of how the trends have developed over the last few years, just in terms of maybe trends that you're seeing as a marketing manager and in marketing space where consumers are buying paving. I know that it's not just paving. We've got, planters and fireplaces, but obviously paving's the big kind of skew, I think, for the business. So just it'd be interesting, I think, to hear a bit about that as well. Yeah.
So, I mean, in terms of trends over the last few years, we used to sell so much sandstone, like a natural stone, which is obviously quarried from the ground. You kind of can't control exactly how it looks. It's a natural stone. But one of the main trends I've seen is that people just want to pay a lot more attention now to exactly how something looks. I think after the pandemic, with the big focus on gardens and outdoor spaces, people are so kind of particular about it now that porcelain has come in and is kind of not completely taken over, but it's a massive, massive product now, way more so than some of the other natural stones we do, purely because it's just got that element of you can actually control what it looks like. So when you're selling a natural product, there's an element of saying, you'll get X amount of shades and tones across the stone, but it can't really be controlled. We can show you pretty much, how we know it's going to look to an extent.
Yeah.
But it's kind of the same as if you were to plant a tree and then you don't know exactly how tall it's going to grow, how many leaves are going to be on it, So it's that kind of thing. Whereas with porcelain, you can look at it and say, okay, well, we can control this. We know exactly how it's going to look for you.
Yeah.
So that's one of the biggest things I think I've seen.
Yeah, no, I've seen that firsthand as well. And I've helped my dad once try and put together a bathroom. I think it was more interior versus out, but we got some kind of tiles which like you get them and it's like, okay, well, it's like a mosaic, isn't it? In a way, you have to put it together. So that makes sense. And I guess it's a good point to kind of then pick up on, which is like, what are the kind of challenges that you see when it comes to trying to market paving versus like, marketing a health and wellness product that, you can talk about the benefits clearly, and you can still do that with paving, but obviously it's kind of a higher AOV product, the actual price range is a little bit higher, I guess, as well, especially when you're trying to purchase through online, e-commerce. So yeah, what are the kind of challenges with paving that you've seen, obviously working in this industry for a while?
Yeah, it's a funny one because it's not exciting, is it, paving?
It depends how you look at it.
Yeah, quite right. Yeah, I mean, I think you're trying to sell somebody the idea of having a brand new garden.
Yeah.
If you turned up at someone's door and said you want to buy a ton of sandstone, they go, "What for? Like, what are you talking about?"
Yeah.
Whereas if you say, "Look, this is what it could look like in your garden. These are the benefits. This is, slip resistance. This is how long it's going to last you. If it's going to last you in your garden, 10, 20, 15 years, you're really selling that kind of experience for them. And being able to use the garden as an extension of the home really is obviously far more exciting and reasonable for a customer to get on board with than just, oh, look at this ton of sandstone. Like, it's not going to...
Yeah, you've got that storytelling, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. You've got to be able to let people know how it's going to benefit them rather than, if it was like, something nice and easy like a phone case or something, that's a nice easy purchase. But when it comes to stuff like paving and things like that, it's not just the order itself and what you're buying exactly. It's also, there's the work that goes into laying it and the landscaping of it and then the upkeep. So yeah, you really have to sell that full experience and let them know all of the benefits, because people's houses are their pride and joy. So
100%. No, for sure. Yeah. And I guess there's kind of a big difference when it comes to something like paving and a lot of these like trade or home renovation type products, which is that there's kind of like a balance in a way, isn't there, where with a product that someone can buy like a tea or something which is very easy to purchase online, many things off Amazon, but with something like a higher value purchase, let's say like paving, where does kind of like the in-person needs come in versus in terms of the customer buyer journey versus digital? So obviously I'm talking about maybe things like sampling and showrooms versus obviously that transition from like you mentioned, where Ankit kind of brought things over and is trying to focus a lot more on the e-commerce stuff versus more traditionally you have showrooms and people come down and they view it. And I guess just like looking at of how the business is starting to scale. What have you kind of seen there? Yeah,
so we try and do a nice kind of mixture of digital and physical. So we've got 2 showrooms at both our depots, which if people are in the area, they can come down, have a walk through, get all the knowledge from the sales guys. But not everybody has the time to do that. We're not on everyone's doorstep, and people are very much used to the Amazon experience of just having something turn up. Like the next day. So sending out like free samples to the customers has been key for us. It's like I said earlier, people are so picky about what they'll put in their garden, exactly how it's going to look, how it's going to feel. They want to kind of compare a few things as well. So if you're miles away from the showroom, you can still do that, which is a massive benefit, because you can. It's like the same with anything really, isn't it? If you're going to buy a carpet, you'd get some samples. You'd have a look at it and feel.
Yeah, it's not funny. It's interesting though, because like there's a brand at the moment called Space Goods. They're doing really, really well at the moment. You might have seen them advertised across a lot of social media, and I think I saw that they've started offering free samples of their product, which is really interesting. And the call to action in the actual stories on Instagram I saw was just like, really, like you can offer for free. But then it's just funny that like you can offer free samples of paving as well on anything. Yeah, it's bizarre. But I think there's an element of probably just kind of like risk reversal a little bit with potential customers. From what I've seen as well, just kind of like trying to just get the product, whatever it is in their hands. And if you have a good product, then if you don't have a good product, it's probably a problem. But if you have a good product, which Nustone do, then, and the price range is kind of in a way where it's, it makes sense. Then I think it's a great strategy and something that I've seen work really
absolutely.
well.
Yeah, like you say, people aren't going to part with like £1,500 on something that they've never ever seen before and they're not quite sure about. A long product description and a few blogs and stuff, they go a long way. But when you're actually asking somebody to part with that money, they really wanted that 100% assurance that it's going to go right for them and they're going to make the right decision.
Yeah, exactly. And something that I know very well from the influencer campaign we run over the summer, which obviously we started, I think, talking about at the beginning of the year, but coming into the summer kind of season, and talking about how, when we had our discussions about it, you kind of mentioning how there is elements of seasonality to some of the products that are in this space and the products that Nustone offer. But it'd be great to kind of hear from your side a little bit about how seasonality affects marketing, how it affects the customer journey, and maybe even about the products that you decide to promote versus summer versus winter versus the other seasons.
Yeah, absolutely. So when it comes into autumn, winter, it can just grind to a halt in terms of landscaping projects that are able to take place, because when the ground is just so wet, it's just like a bog marsh. It's just, you just can't lay the stone. So we really put a massive focus on preparing for next year. What we find is that, if you're waiting for February, March, that first kind of day when the sun first starts to come out in the spring, if you're looking at booking a landscaper, then you're probably going to find that they're all booked up until like September. So we put a massive focus on starting to plan for the spring, summer in the autumn, winter. So by the time it gets around to March, you've got your paving sorted, you've got to have it delivered, you've had it there, you've got a landscaper booked in, and you can get that done early in the spring, ready to enjoy for the rest of the year, rather than if you make a start in the spring and you find out the landscapers are all booked up, the products will start to sell out, then you're going to be in a bit of a pickle, because you might be waiting till September, October anyway to get a landscaper, which isn't ideal for the most part for most people, because you want to be out in the sun in the summer.
But it's very interesting because obviously there's a direct kind of like relationship that's needed with, I guess, the actual tradesman as well, that will be actually laying the actual product as well. I know that there is people that lay their own paving, and people do DIY is a big part of this as well, and something that's definitely a growing category and niche.
For sure,
But in terms of that kind of separation a little bit, I guess it's interesting. Like, have you seen that grow a little bit over the last few years in terms of people deciding to lay their own paving, or how does that balance work with, you I guess you want to make sure that the tradesmen as well are kind of like well kept after, and you kind of deal with, you help them as much as possible, because they're going to be the ones that are going to be dealing with your product and laying your product.
100%. Yeah, that's it. It's always so tricky to manage, because like you say, we don't want to say to everyone, go and lay your own patio, because then we've got like repeat customers who have the other trade accounts with us who are going, well, hold on. We want that work. But there's times when the trade is just too busy and just booked up. So, and then obviously landscaping, like everything, just gets more expensive. So there's a massive benefit for having things like laying guides, encouraging DIY to an extent, obviously with our own kind of installation guides, which we've worked with the trade on to make like some really comprehensive guides that help people to get it right, because it's going to be an expensive mistake if you get it wrong, which is what the trade always say, and it's absolutely right. You don't want to get it wrong. We've seen some horror stories in the past where people have laid slabs upside down, or just laid it wrong.
They're coming knocking on your door, like, you're going to sort this out, or what's going on? Oh man, And in terms of the actual business now, let's say compared to, I know we kind of spoke about the transition, and Nustone's become trying to really focus on e-com and trying to sell direct to consumer. I know that you guys sell products on Amazon now, and some other platforms as well. But in terms of that split of like selling direct to consumer versus retail and tradesmen and stuff, how has that kind of developed over time, and where do you kind of maybe see that going? Obviously both parts are super important to the whole ecosystem, but is there how do you think about that, I guess, where we've come from and moving into the near future?
It's a tricky one. Obviously predicting the future is, this is the game, isn't it, for marketing? That's it. But we've always tried to keep it kind of 50-50. We see that it's kind of 50-50 between trade and DIY. We don't try to put one person off of going DIY or put them off of going trade. Because we would lose the business if we said like, do this, do that. There's business to be lost for us, which is kind of the dangerous part. So we have to manage it so carefully.
Of course.
And then just seeing the needs and just reacting to it as we can. I mean, the trade, the landscapers and everything, they have their relationship with the customers. So even if somebody's buying it themselves, a lot of them will have a tradesperson involved. They might just think, I'm just going to get that direct and I'll just get it. And then when I can book a landscaper, I'll get someone in. So there's even the element of where we're not involved in the landscaper actually using our products, which is a kind of a weird one, because there's always these landscapers there where, I know someone's bought that paving to get a landscaper to do it, but I want to work with the landscaper because I want to get him an account with us.
I got you,
But I think really, what helps with that is just giving a really great experience, because
Yeah.
we always hear really good feedback that the customer will give their tradesman the stone, and the tradesman happy with it, and we'll get these positive reviews that just say like, oh, our tradesman was blown away by the quality, blah blah blah, which is always really nice to see.
Yeah, no, it's a really good point as well. Like in terms of them reviews that you're talking about, how do you kind of leverage them? Because obviously Trustpilot, I think over 3,000 or something, you know, it's really impressive, and the actual growth, especially over the last few years, has been immense when it comes to that growth of the feedback that you're getting. Do you try and leverage that in any way, just kind of like in internal strategies? Or I'm sure it's like, you know, within the team, probably in-house, you kind of like, it's nice to kind of see the positive feedback, I'm sure. But is there any kind of like actual strategic decisions or kind of insights that you can pull from some of the reviews that you're getting from customers that will enable you to, I guess, kind of like refine different parts of the business?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's, I mean, the funny thing is like the hard work isn't even in doing that. It's just getting the positive reviews in the first place. And all the teams we have are so great at just looking after the customer. We've come leaps and bounds, and we're, you know, really proud to be kind of where we are now, where we sit versus some competitors and some of, you know, smaller and bigger companies. But yeah, I mean, just putting that out there in ads in the right places on the website is just super key for letting people know, like,
oh, this podcast is flowing nicely, because I'm ready to talk about the ads and the marketing side now. No, for sure. I'd love to like deep dive a little bit, I guess, just into more into the marketing side of things, right? And I think it'd be super insightful for people watching that are have got maybe similar businesses in a similar space, or they're just intrigued to understand a bit about this kind of sector. So in terms of kind of like the attention that you give to trade and retail versus the D2C side of things and direct to consumer, I don't want to spend too much time on the trade stuff. I think it'd be interesting to speak a bit more about the D2C stuff, but just the differences between there, maybe just a bit about where maybe budget spent or kind of attention is being put. Be interesting just to know a bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think when it comes to the direct to consumer side, they're generally the people who are coming through are easier to kind of target with SEO and paid ads, because they're the ones who will be Googling, you know, Canada Grey Indian Sandstone or like black porcelain or whatever it is. And you can get those leads from that nice and easily. Whereas the trade guys won't really be doing that. They kind of already know what they're doing. They know who to call, where to find the info from, if they even need the information in the first place. Whereas, the kind of domestic projects where people don't really know what it is they're buying, it's a lot more content focused. So guides on like sandstone versus porcelain, sandstone versus limestone, things like that, where people are like, why should I buy one over the other? Actually, I don't really know. I mean, if I didn't work for a paving company, I wouldn't have a clue what sandstone, what the benefits were, like what the downsides were. So no, this is actually part of, I think, where it would be interesting to kind of get to, which is I'm really interested to understand kind of like from a top level view, obviously, like where the marketing strategy sits for Nustone when it comes to both sectors. But I think in a way there's an element of like crossover sometimes, because if you think about content and putting out content on socials now and like on your own brand channels and stuff, and even in ads, I guess you can target both in a way and utilize different kind of structures and platforms to target them. But I guess from your side, where's the main kind of focus at the moment when it comes to, I guess, more the top of funnel, like awareness part? And then how do we kind of pull them down to actually get someone to purchase? Big question, but I guess it'd be interesting to kind of like just put it out there, and maybe absolutely. Off of that, it'd be cool to jump into some things. Yeah, so a big focus at the moment for us is partnerships, social media and sponsorships as well. So we're sponsoring Ipswich Town at the moment in the Premier League, which is really
should be
exciting.
Arsenal, but I mean, it might be a bit more expensive.
I mean, I agree. I'm an Arsenal fan. Yeah.
Nice. Love that.
But yeah, that's like the benefit of being sponsoring Ipswich is that they're only kind of 20 minutes down the road from us. The demographic crossover between landscapers in the trade and football fans is massive. So it makes a lot of sense, especially somewhere like Ipswich as well, where it's a little bit more kind of open. Whereas if we were to sponsor somebody like Arsenal, and people who live in London don't necessarily have gardens or own their own house. So obviously there is people, but the vast majority generally, when you compare this, the average size and the number of gardens in London versus Suffolk, it's huge, a huge difference. So being able to put ourselves top of mind for them when it comes to, they're never going to see like a Nustone banner on the on match day in the stadium and just at half time start ordering a patio or something weird like
that. You hope so. You never know. Maybe another realm.
But just keeping top of mind and being able to like utilize the partnership to keep reaching them to the point where when it does come to when they're looking at it, they go, oh, okay, I'm going to go with Nustone, because people have that kind of weird like, that loyalty to their club as well.
Yeah.
Like I remember when I flew on Emirates, I was like, oh yeah, Arsenal, nice. Whereas if I'd been on Etihad, I'd been like, oh, City, like.
So true. Yeah. But I think on that point of like strategic partnerships and actually looking at kind of more of the top of funnel, like brand awareness part, like, you know, it's similar to influencer marketing sometimes as well, and kind of the way that brands can work with like large influencers or mid-tier to large influencers, and kind of just capturing the attention of a high volume of people, and then running different kind of strategies, I guess, underneath that in terms of ads or just kind of like high volume UGC content or whatever it might be. But just on the point of like the longer term partnerships, I know that you've been working with Mark Marshall over the last few months, which I think is a really interesting collaboration. And I'd be really interested to hear how that's going. And just be cool to hear a bit more about that.
Yeah. So far, so good. Yeah. Mark's a great guy. Yeah. Really love working with him.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons that we want to work with him is he's just so genuine. Yeah. Like nothing really comes across like it's just being shoved in your face, like do this, buy this, or anything weird like that, which a lot of people like in the kind of content creation space, if they're not doing it right, then it can come across a little bit forced. Whereas Mark's such a genuine guy, and all of the content he creates is just amazing. Yeah, no,
100%. No, it's like he's also very talented at what he does.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Which is a big part of it. Yeah. Like people, you look in the comments and it's like, you know, super engaged.
Yeah.
But I guess on one side it's really interesting because there's the longer term strategic approach when it comes to, I guess, influencer marketing and collaborating and creating content. But also, I guess, like, how did you find working with kind of a lot more of the home creators that we worked with over the summer? I know that we generated a lot of amazing results in terms of revenue. But I'd be interested to hear kind of like, I guess, a bit about your experience working with us and how that campaign went. And I guess like, the differences that you found from the longer term kind of approach with one creator that is more trade focused versus a dozen creators which have got really strong audiences, but they, I guess, are not as trade. It's more about, I guess, kind of the aspirational aspect of kind of the transformations of their of the project they're working on.
Yeah, so working with the kind of the domestic, you know, the content creators who are doing up their own gardens and stuff was great fun. It was amazing. Obviously, like you say, the results we had were phenomenal, which is awesome. But it's really cool to see like the difference that we spoke about earlier of DIY and then the trade. So hitting both of them is just so key for us because we're never going to be able to convince every customer to go down the trade route,
of course,
and then we're never going to convince every customer to ignore the trade either. So having a balance is really good. And working with Reaction Lab just made the process so much easier.
Stop it, mate. Stop it. No, I'm glad to hear. And I guess on that point of, because, you know, I think influence marketing is relatively new to Nustone. And I think when we spoke, it was kind of like we're open to kind of like testing this and see how it goes. And luckily it went well, which I'm really happy about. But when it comes, you know, what's the methodology, I guess, when it comes to testing new things and kind of like trying to be a bit innovative? Because I know, you know, a lot of your competitors, I'm sure after seeing some of the successes that Nustone are doing, they'll probably try and piggyback on a few things. But it looks like you're quite first to market on a few of these kind of strategies in the space that you kind of sit in. Is that kind of a conversation that you have with the team and maybe with Ankit, or, you know, how is that kind of like thought about before you activate something new and different?
Yeah, so it definitely feels like we were one of the first ones to do like a, you know, kind of a long-term partnership with someone like Mark. And yeah, we see people do that now regularly. I only really see it since we did it with Mark. I'm not trying to say that we are the first people to ever do it, but like
it doesn't matter, just say it.
Probably more so because I'm looking out for it more now as well. Yeah. Whereas previously, you know, it wasn't really top of mind for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I think the thing really to get started is just try it. Like just fail, but fail in a controlled way.
Yeah.
You know, prepare to fail and fail like small and often, because that's how you learn. I learn by doing.
Yeah.
Like I could read 1 million books on something and put, you know, as soon as I've closed the last book, all the knowledge is gone.
Sure.
Yeah. I need to do something to learn it.
Yeah, that's my methodology of this podcast right now. Just get in there, get stuck in.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Yeah, for sure. I also wanted to touch on like a little bit around like brand positioning, I guess. We kind of mentioned like, you know, maybe not, we don't want to talk about competitors too much, but in terms of kind of like where forward facing going into next year, you know, where do you think Nustone will sit comparatively to some of the other brands that are in this space? Yeah, have you had any thought about that and kind of some of the differences that you see being kind of like, you know, the key core brand values that Nustone has versus some of the other competitors that are out there?
Yeah, so I think the things like working with Mark, partnering with Ipswich Town, and having so many positive reviews and such a great reputation. That is the thing that those three collectively are kind of what's starting to set us apart now. Whereas, if you've got like 4 stars on Trustpilot and you're not really kind of shown to be that super active on social media, the customer's always got that kind of feeling of, well, if it does go wrong, it's going to be expensive. And I'm not too sure whether the light's on in anyone's home, because if you're not keeping that sort of stuff going, like positive reviews, activity on social media, it's going to set off alarm bells in the customer's head, like just subconsciously, because they'll go, well, if my delivery's late, who do I ring? Because this Instagram hasn't been updated for 26 weeks. So whereas, we've got content out every day. Mark's working with us on so much stuff. Yeah, we just keep that kind of activity there, really.
For sure.
Just say, look, we're here. This is what we do.
Keep top of mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And even things like working with Mark and working with Ipswich is that they choose to work with us as well. It's a partnership. So it sends a lot of positive messages out there to the customer to say that Ipswich, are willing to work with Nustone. Mark is willing to attach himself to the brand as well, which sends a lot of positive messages.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, it's really important, I think, to keep top of mind now, as we said, because there will be more competitors, I'm sure, in all categories coming out, and I think it's going to be a big factor. How do you think about, I guess, kind of like data and like analyzing success and reporting? Obviously, being like, in charge of marketing for a big multi-million pound a year business, I imagine there's kind of like internal communication that needs to be had with different stakeholders, and then I guess more kind of like more granular analysis as well. What are kind of the important aspects of kind of analyzing data that you kind of see within the team? The
core things that I tend to focus on mainly is things like conversion rate, AOV as well, just making sure that they're ticking over and they're gradually increasing. It's for me, it's all about just finding those core things that work in line with one another and just hacking away at it. Just like consistency on improvement there will just do a lot of the heavy lifting, rather than spreading yourself too thin and going, okay, well, everything's now a priority, we have to do everything. It's like, yes, that's not how it works. Like, not everything's not a priority if everything's a priority, So those key kind of things will do a lot of the growth for us. And then, like you say, when we speak to stakeholders and get their input, it's managing the expectations there, and also saying, okay, that we're going to do that, but we've got to make sure we do X, Y, Z first. And then that's kind of like a separate, an add-on, or otherwise we'll just be, we'd be going crazy on everything,
No, for sure. This is the thing. You got to kind of keep on top of things.
That's it. Yeah, it's such a plate spinning act. You're like, one day you're doing SEO, and then the next day you're doing something with Mark, or it's a trade event, or you see email marketing, SMS.
It'd be great to dive into that a little bit as well. Just kind of like how the paid ad strategy, maybe social. I know paid ads can be quite broad, but if we talk about, let's talk about a bit about SEO and PPC. I don't know if that's an area that is you directly are managing, or if you have a team member, but search is a huge part of these types of businesses. How do you kind of keep on top of that when you've got I guess competitors that are established, or people that are trying to bid on similar keywords? Is it an element of just spending big and keeping it high, or how do you look at that strategy?
Kind of. I mean, I think everyone has to spend big, really, because Google just every year just gets more and more expensive. But it's just making sure that we're sensible with it. We could plow endless amounts of money into it, but we just got to make sure that we don't lean too heavily on one side, because if Google's like, it will just change something, and it will just pull the rug out from under you, and then you go, oh, that was that hurts. So you got to make these tentative changes, like I say, just improvements like 1%, 2% here and there, and just keep consistently doing that. Same with SEO as well, just keeping on top of the changing needs of the customer and what they're searching for. One day they're searching for sandstone versus porcelain, and then all of a sudden they stop searching that and they're searching something else. You go, okay, let's get the content out there that they need.
How do you keep on top of trends like that and just like the changes that are happening so quickly? Is you got platforms that you use, or is it literally in-house kind of looking at sales data and trying to analyze things?
It's a bit of both. We've got platforms like some of the the big main platforms that people use, like that will give us a lot of the data, and a lot of the kind of the key search terms and so on. But looking in-house as well always helps us, because I don't like to just look at data and sort of say that's what it's telling us. I like to do an extra element of, but why? Why is that working? There's got to be something. Like, if somebody's searching for this, is there a reason for that? Rather than just kind of blindly going, let's target that. Find out why first, because I think that always seems to be more productive
Mm-hmm.
and get better results, actually understanding why you're doing it rather than just doing it.
100%. No, definitely. I think it's a smart way to do things, isn't it? But I think sometimes people can make more emotional decisions, right?
100%, yeah.
So I think sometimes whether it's a good, like you're winning or you're losing, whatever, I think either way you need to kind of be aware of them things. And I know a little bit about kind of the paid ad strategy at Nustone, just based on kind of the collaboration we've done together. But how what's kind of the setup there a little bit when we talk about social? Sorry, we talk about social. Instagram. I know Instagram is spending, I think, in terms of paid ads. But yeah, just in terms of the structure there, how does that kind of look?
Yeah, so we run a lot of retargeting ads because we get so many people come through Mark Marshall and Ipswich Town as well. So retargeting the people who are already browsing with us, we tend to find is the most productive there. They're already kind of like top of funnel anyway. So just pushing them down, and using Mark to do more kind of genuine ads as well. So like if they're following Mark and they've discovered us through him, using Mark's content as an ad is such a bonus to be able to do, because they can re-see Mark, who they're familiar with. And it kind of drives home the point.
It's like authenticity, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's authenticity. And especially, like, as I said, working with one creator long term, you can get that kind of, you can get that result from working with a creator once or twice if the content is really authentic and actually speaks to the person you want it to speak to.
Yeah.
Especially, I think the interesting part about the kind of content structure of the types of content that I've seen at Nustone is there is an element of the before and afters.
Yeah.
And there's an element of the way I kind of compare it to is like, don't think you can really do it as much anymore. But the before and after when it comes to health and wellness industry. So like before and after photos of pictures of people's bodies and things like that. And the weight loss industry and kind of like where that's got to. Yeah. But in a way, it's kind of like, it's morally okay to show before and afters and show the full process of what goes into these types of projects and put it in the eyes of the potential customer, I guess, as well.
Yeah, helping them understand, this is what you've got, but this is what you could have. Yeah. And then, it's so powerful to be able to see that. Especially we find as well, we use a lot of like really nice, big, expansive, costly projects for like product images, but not everyone's got a massive garden and a huge budget. So there's also a lot of value in just finding the customers who have got smaller, kind of what I'd call a normal garden, whereas not everyone's got that huge space and a huge budget to be able to go like, let's make this amazing. So there's a lot of value in also using them as well, just to say like, look, we know that not everyone is like minted.
Yeah, of course.
We're all normal people. We're trying to sell to normal people. So this is what a normal garden looks like as well,
100%, yeah. But I mean, I guess I've also seen that you've started utilizing competitions quite a little bit on kind of socials. Yeah. How's that what's the results been of that a little bit? Because I think sometimes they can be hit and miss for brands. They can work really well if you get it right and you get the virality aspect of things. Yeah. How have you been finding kind of running competitions? Because it's also something that a lot of businesses in this space do. It works quite well for them. But I'd be interested to hear what you think.
Really good so far. Yeah. We've been doing the picture competition now on the website for a couple of years now. Okay. But yeah, it's always done really well for us. Just being able to show, have people submit their pictures like before and after. And obviously we make sure we get the permission from anyone to use them, like use their images on the website, which really helps to kind of bolster that this is what you could have kind of feel to it.
Yeah, the FOMO.
That's it. Yeah. We get so many entries every month, and it's just, even aside from the competition, it's just so nice to just
me like times 1,000 entries secretly. Don't tell anyone, but
but no, it's really great to see like genuine content, and everyone just gets so involved with it. We get thousands of entries, and it's really great. It's hard to pick the winners, because there's so many good ones, and it's been really.
Do you choose the winners? I'm asking someone else. I'm joking.
My team have a look through and they pick.
Of course. Yeah. I used to work for a publishing agency, a publishing house business a few years ago. Yeah, and we used to do that as well. We run competitions for some of the magazines. Yeah, and there used to be this website where we can you put in you put in the data or numbers or something, and then it spins a little wheel and it comes out. Yeah. So I don't know if that's utilized anymore.
We do.
But that was funny.
Yeah, we do giveaways and stuff as well, which will just be like chosen randomly, like random winners.
Yeah.
We're doing one at the moment for like an Ipswich Town signed shirt.
Oh,
for
nice.
Anyone. Yeah.
Nice. Exciting little plug. To join. And in terms of like, as you mentioned, like this category, like DIY, home and garden, landscaping, super passionate people, and do you kind of see that as well with like the engagement that you get on a lot of the posts and also like, I guess more about like the actual customer demographic that you see that are buying Nustone products? How does that kind of look?
Yeah, everyone is so engaged. Everyone's got something to say on it.
Yeah.
Usually positive, thankfully. So, because I mean, the trade are always like, the landscapers are super passionate about what they do.
For sure.
So when they see something that they like, they want to shout about it, which is great to see. It's great to see so many customers with so much genuine passion about what they do. There's great communities on Facebook, which are just full of landscapers just helping each other out. It's honestly so like inspiring to see all these people who are in competition with each other just going, oh no mate, I really love this project, but like, why don't you try this next time? But, and just giving little tips and pointers, and there's so much learning for people to do on there.
Yeah. Do you find that, what's the age demo like in terms of kind of the people that you see engaging with the brand and customers, I guess, as well?
Usually for the trade, it's a little bit older.
Yeah.
We usually see kind of like, I say older, that's kind of my age now, but like 35 onwards. But there's a lot of, because I think those are the generally 35 onwards are the people who have kind of got the experience to go and start their own companies.
Yeah.
Whereas we generally find that the younger people are working for another company. But yeah, usually like the slightly older,
slightly older person.
Yeah, like me. Yeah.
No, not all. But no, that's really interesting to know. And I guess like moving into like next year, is anything exciting on the horizon when it comes to anything? I don't know. Anything secretive that maybe you can have a little shout about today, or anything you're working on that would be interesting for people to get excited about?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got some really interesting stuff actually coming up. We've got
spill the beans. Let's go.
A big expansion of the product range ready for next year, which is underway. So we're looking forward to seeing what we can bring in there, and just see people, rather than just paving and the kind of the landscaping stuff that some people see as the necessity.
Yeah.
All the extra exciting things they want to add on top of that as well, just to really make their garden their own.
Yeah.
We're running some things with Mark Marshall over the next couple of months as well, which is really exciting. Can't say too much about it right now, but
cool.
It's expect to see some fancy dress and some really exciting.
Wow. Fancy dress and paving.
Yeah, it's going to be
an interesting.
It should be an interesting one. But yeah, no, we're really excited about it. We started playing that this week, and it's going to look like it's hopefully going to take off really nicely. So really looking forward to that. So yeah, I think watch this space. And then with Ipswich Town as well, we're going to be supporting them, making sure they stay up in the Premier League.
You're an Arsenal supporter, but you're in Ipswich Town.
We'll see how I feel about that when it comes to Arsenal Ipswich.
At least you're honest about it. I think that's what's the most important thing. And I guess like we're coming towards the end, but like, is there any advice? It's quite broad, I guess, because there's millions of different product ranges and things within this kind of market, and obviously also Nustone is it's a relatively big business, but if you were giving, I guess, advice to, smaller businesses maybe that have got similar products, or they've got a product that is, in the home renovation DIY space, when they think about, I guess, like marketing or kind of like getting something to market and kind of helping it grow, obviously you're a marketing guy and, you've had your own things in the past. Is anything that, you would kind of think about and advise them on to do from your experience?
I think just get started.
Yeah.
Just do it. Yeah. Learn by doing. You'll never know everything about it. If you wait until you're 100% ready, you'll never start. So you've got to take the leap and just get involved and just do it. And
is there any products that you're seeing maybe on socials at the moment, on TikTok, on IG, that have crossed your mind recently, or you've seen and you're like, actually, that would be an interesting, I don't know, that's an interesting product within this space? Any innovative kind of
there's
products that are coming out?
I've seen some really cool stuff when we were at the Futurescape event. There's some really cool things I forget what they're called, but like where you can measure basically like using lasers, so you don't have to use like traditional like tape measures and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Loads of things that just make things easier, quicker and easier. I don't know how AI would really affect the industry in that regard, but it's kind of looking towards that kind of tech focused
for sure
kind of thing where it just makes it so much easier. We can just measure someone's garden with just a couple of stakes in the ground. Rather than spending ages going around and do it manually. Things like that, which are just going to make landscapers' lives so much easier.
Yeah,
they can just finish up the job ASAP.
Yeah.
Move on to the next one.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, I saw some really interesting products as well at that Futurescape event.
Yeah.
I was trying to work out my head when you were talking, it's mud, but compost.
Yes.
That's what I was looking for. I spoke to a few different interesting businesses there, but I come across this brand business owner, and he's got this product which is like almost like a compost that grows.
Oh, okay.
So it's very thin like this, and it's a little packet. And you pour some hot water on it, and it goes up to like this.
Oh, wow.
and it's, you can put it into a pot or whatever.
Yeah.
But I was like, that is like magical. It's amazing.
Yeah.
There's a few out there. So I mean, there is innovation happening.
100%. Yeah, like I say, things like that are just going to make people's lives so much easier.
Yeah, exactly. Especially with like TikTok Shop coming out at the moment and becoming really big, and this social commerce kind of movement that we're moving into.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe that's a conversation for another time. Thank you so much for coming on today.
You're welcome.
It's been really fun. Yeah,
thank you.
Thanks so much.